Today, I want to share with you a proven system that if you follow will allow you to hit more doubles and allow you to hit your first or your next home run, even if you're undersized. Now, I can say this because I was more of a contact hitter as I started coming up the system and I started to apply this formula and I started to drive the baseball. So I'm gonna share with you exactly what it is. I'm gonna share with you exactly this system. I'm gonna give you some examples of players who do it, and I'm gonna share with you a player who actually doesn't do it so that you understand and you can apply this to your game so you can hit extra base hits. Now, if you don't know who I am, I'm former MLB player Jermaine and I help players stand out, allowing them to make their elite travel ball teams, allow them to make their high school varsity team, allow them to earn a college scholarship or even go pro. Now, what is this formula? What is this system? Basically, what it is exit velocity weighted times L plus F times M plus P. Now, it sounds super complicated, right? But it's really not. I'm going to simply explain this to you so you can understand, okay? So exit velocity weighted and L plus F is line drives and fly balls, and then the M plus P is middle to pull side. To put it simply, if you have the right exit velocity and you hit line drives and fly balls to the middle and pull side of the field, you will hit for power. Now, you'll see that in the EV part of it, it says W. Right? It has the weighted part. Now, what is that? Think of it like a seesaw. It depends what your exit velocity is, and that basically determines what you should do in the other part of the formula. So to give you an example, if your exit velocity is high, you can do less over here with P. If your exit velocity is lower, you want to do more with the P. Now, I want to explain this and how it came about. So basically, I played professionally and I was in AAA and I was playing with the Cincinnati Reds. I got called into the manager's office. The GM said, Jermaine, if you don't start hitting for power, we're going to release you. As anybody would do, I started to panic. I was more of an undersized player. Now I'm a bit bigger, but I was more undersized. I was more smaller. I was skinnier, and I didn't believe that I actually could drive the baseball. Now, when they told me all of this, I was in the middle of the season. I started to try to hit for power, and you know what you do. If you're not hitting the ball hard enough, you start over swinging, your mechanics break down. I started popping up baseballs and I started swinging and missing. Outside pitchers, I was flailing at them because I couldn't hit them because I was trying to pull everything. I went through the whole pain of trying to figure it out and doubting myself and panicking and feeling like, you know what, I'm just going to get released. So I started reaching out to all my mentors, Barry Bonds, Barry Larkin, Eric Davis. I started looking to the people I have known that have helped me and say, what do you guys do to drive the baseball? So they started telling me what they did. And I compiled all that information, and I didn't stop there. I started looking at players like Mookie Betts, Jose Altuve, guys that were similar to me, undersized, and were driving the baseball. I started looking at their launch angle, their exit velocities, their batted ball outcomes. I started looking at all these numbers and I started to piece together an idea. And that's where this formula began. Then I started looking up power hitters and I started looking up what they were doing. And most all power hitters fit into this formula. So if you want to start hitting for more power, where you're going to start hitting more doubles, where you're going to start hitting more home runs, if you want to be that type of player where you're going to drive the baseball and stand out, you need to execute on this. And that's what I did. I ended up hitting more home runs that following year, and I started hitting doubles, and it literally changed my perspective as a hitter, changed my confidence in myself, and I ended up being an all-star, and I was the player of the month in the whole league. And unfortunately, I ended up getting hurt. I blew my hamstring out really bad, and it just carried over into the rest of my career. So I wasn't able to continue driving the baseball like I thought I could, but it changed my game, and I started helping players, and here I am today helping players like you. I'm doing this online, I'm doing this in person, and guys are getting college scholarships, they're making those elite travel ball teams, guys are getting pro contracts, and it's really starting to form into this thing that I never imagined it would actually be. Now, let me give you some examples of players. Let's start with Aaron Judge. Aaron Judge, his exit velocity is 96 miles per hour, which is the highest in the MLB. His line drive percentage is 23%, and his fly ball percentage is 46%. And he hits the ball pull side and middle 75% of the time. When it comes down to it, he hits the ball nearly 70% of the time in the air, and he's pulling it and hitting the middle 75% of the time. To explain this, Aaron Judge has the highest exit velocity in baseball, which means he doesn't need to rely on as much on hitting to the pull side. He has the highest exit velocity in the MLB, so he can still hit balls to the opposite field out of the ballpark. However, he still hits the ball 79% of the time in the air and 75% of the time to middle and pull side of the field. This combination is why he crushes so many home runs. Now, let's talk about Mookie Betts. Mookie Betts is at 90 miles per hour. His line drive percentage is 24%. His fly ball percentage is 48%. And he hits the baseball pull side and middle 75% of the time. Mookie Betts has an average to maybe slightly above average exit velocity, but his power comes from hitting the ball in the air 72% of the time, driving it to the middle or pull side 75% of the time. Because he follows the formula perfectly, Betts consistently racks up home runs and doubles despite not having the elite exit velocity of Aaron Judge. Now, you're probably saying to yourself, okay, what about someone that's below average? Okay, well, we have Jose Altuve. His exit velocity is 86 miles per hour. That's below average. Okay, his line drive percentage is 24%. His fly ball percentage is 33%. And he hits the baseball pull side and middle 86% of the time. 56% pull side and 30% middle. Jose Altuve has the lowest exit velocity of the group. Also, he doesn't hit the ball in the air as much as Judge or Betts, but makes up for it by pulling the ball 56% of the time. You could literally take all the infielders and the outfielders from the opposite of the field and place them to the middle and the pull side, because he's nearly hitting the ball 90% of the time to middle and pull side. By consistently pulling and hitting to the middle, he maximizes his power output and is still able to hit a lot of doubles and home runs even with lower exit velocity. Again, it's like a seesaw. If you have high exit velocity, you don't have to do the heat part like Aaron Judge. He can still go oppo and hit a lot of home runs. If you have average, you have to execute it pretty perfectly, which means you have to hit more line drives and fly balls middle and pull side to hit home runs. That's Mookie Betts. And then Jose Altuve, he has below average exit velocity. He doesn't hit as many line drives and fly balls, but when he does, he's pulling it drastically to left field, and that's the reason why he's able to hit doubles and home runs. So think of it again as a seesaw, and that right there is the formula. And if you execute that formula, then you're going to be more successful. Now, let's bring that back to the formula. The formula is exit velocity weighted times L plus F times M plus P. Now, there's a right way to go about this formula. When you're practicing and you're trying to do this, we want to work in the middle of the field, because the middle of the field puts you in the perfect point of contact. So we want to practice there, because that's where the game is usually played, where your front foot is after stride. If you're too far in front, then you're going to start rolling over baseballs. Now, we want to pull baseballs because that's where you're going to basically be able to drive baseballs, but we want to do it right. If you're a tad bit early and you're working in the middle of the field, you're going to be able to get through it, catch it out front, and elevate it to your pull side, as opposed to what most people do is they're working pull side and then they start rolling over the baseball, right? They're trying to pull it, so they're going out to get it. So again, we want to work in the middle of the field. You want to try to knock down the center field wall, right? Staying right in the middle of the field and just driving it over the center fielder's head. With that being said, this is what I teach my hitters in my program. My program is called the 100X Power Program. Now, I'm not pitching you on that right now. What I am pitching you on is, if you want to increase your power, there are things that you're doing that's stopping you from doing that. And I'm offering a free live swing breakdown. I'm gonna break down your swing. I'm gonna look at everything you're doing, tell you how to take your game to that next level. And so if you're interested in that, link is below. Book a time, we'll talk, we'll see how we can increase your power specifically to you so that you're able to start driving the baseball and standing out. Now, if you enjoyed this, hit that like button. If you're new here, subscribe to the channel. My name is Jermaine Curtis, and I'm help building the next generation of prospects. So with that being said, watch this video right here, which tells you about how to hit your first or your next home run. Now that you know the formula, it's going to talk more about it and the process I take my hitters through. Thank you so much, and I'll see you in the next video.